two, and they're trying to get back at each other behind each other's backs. Yeah, so I pulled some cards. I'm using the Lightyear's Tarot deck. I love this tarot deck. And yeah, let's get into it. So looking a little battered because it's old. It's what, 6 years old I have had this? No, not 6. Yeah, 5 years old. Long time I've had them. But anyways. So with the Star, Ace of Swords, and King of Wands. So I see here that there's almost like this energy. Let me actually move my camera a little bit. There we go. Yeah, okay. That's why I'm always looking to the side. I want to see if you guys can see the cards and stuff like that. Sometimes when I see myself, because I always critique my videos, and I'm looking to the sides, it looks like I'm looking at myself, and I'm actually looking at the visual, if you guys can see and stuff like that. But anyways, so with King of Wands, welcome back to No Light Tarot. My name is Holly. So grateful to have you all. Let's get into this reading. I'm doing Jay-Z versus Nicki Minaj. I wanted to do this because I feel as though recently it was announced that Kendrick Lamar would be headlining the 2025 Super Bowl. I'm not a Kendrick Lamar fan, so I'm a little disappointed. I am definitely a Lil Wayne fan. I think a lot went on behind the scenes. Energetically, I picked that up, and I did do a live, I think it was in February, because I remember it was around my birthday, January, February, where I spoke about a lot of people coming forward against Jay-Z. It was kind of going to be like Nicki, especially Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj was going to discover that it was Jay-Z behind a lot of these artists coming for him, coming for her, coming for Drake, and coming for different artists to kind of squash them, you know. I have also done many readings on Nicki Minaj and her. I've been accurate a lot about her, so go check those out. I will have cards in the video. In fact, I'll leave a playlist at the end of this video too about her, because I've been accurate very much so. Being from New York, you know, I was born in New York. I lived there for 10 years as an adult, well, teenager and adult. So I lived there for total 12 years. I can totally relate to Nicki Minaj's like fire that she has. They're both from New York, which I find very fascinating, and they're both Sagittarius. And if you know anything about my channel, if you've been here from the beginning, I always say that Sagittarius don't like each other. I used to actually, quick story, I used to work at a yoga studio, and one of the teachers was a Sagittarius. It was really funny because he would bring pamphlets, because I used to work at the front desk. I used to teach and I used to work at the front desk to supplement my income. But when I used to work at the front desk, one of the teachers would bring one of his retreats, like his retreat pamphlets in, and he put them at the front desk, and they weren't allowed to do that. So one of like the head of managers would come in. He was Sagittarius too. And he would see that, he would see exactly which teacher it was and everything, and he would throw them in the trash, you know? And I thought it was just so petty because, you know that person spent money on it. Granted, they aren't allowed to do it, but you can just tell them nicely, you know, like, wrap it up and tell the person, hey, please don't do this, you know? And then you can throw it away, you know? Or do whatever you want to with it. But it happened about 3 times where the one teacher would put his pamphlets for his retreat on the desk as to show all the customers, and the head of managers would throw it away. Second time happened because they would do it, they knew each other were doing it, and it was kind of like this kind of spite thing. And this reminded me, when I saw the whole Jay-Z and Nicki Minaj thing, I think I might have told a story too before, it reminded me of that, you know? And that's an issue that I have in general with Sagittarius as a sign. I think they have many great qualities. They're very charismatic, they're very talented, they're very smart, they're intellectual. But something that I've seen in Sagittarius in my life and in the public, they can be very sneaky. Very, very sneaky. Like, they won't tell you they're upset with you, but they'll do things to give the message that they're upset with you. You're like, why are you being so petty, you know? because I prefer upfront. I'm a very upfront person. If you don't like me, you don't have to like me, but I'd rather just know than have. I had a best friend in high school who's Sagittarius, and I found out she told one of my deep secrets. It's a long story. I do have a storyboard about it, story time about it, so check that out. But I was in the wrong. She could have told me I was in the wrong. Instead, she went behind my back and never said anything to me. But I had to find out from other people that she was telling my what it was, you know. So that's how I found Sagittarius to be in general in my life. Just in general, because there have been some amazing Sagittarius. I have wonderful Sagittarius cousin who's definitely not like that. But I have found a lot of the time when it comes to work, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to actually my favorite relationship I had was with the Sagittarius, but he was older. But I find in general with friendships and stuff, they're very, in my opinion, very disloyal people. So that story reminded me of the teacher and the manager going back and forth, because I think there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that Nicki Minaj is very privy to, and they're trying to get back at each other behind each other's backs. Yeah, so I pulled some cards. I'm using the Lightyear's Tarot deck. I love this tarot deck. And yeah, let's get into it. It's looking a little battered because it's old. It's what, 6 years old I have had this? No, not 6. Yeah, 5 years old. Long time I've had them. But anyways. So with the Star, Ace of Swords, and King of Wands. So I see here that there's almost like this energy. Let me actually move my camera a little bit. There we go. Yeah, okay. That's why I'm always looking to the side. I want to see if you guys can see the cards and stuff like that. Sometimes when I see myself, because I always critique my videos, and I'm looking to the sides, it looks like I'm looking at myself and I'm actually looking at the visual, if you guys can see and stuff like that. But anyways. So with King of Wands, Ace of Swords, and the Star. With the Ace of Swords, there's lots of strategy going behind. It burns him. And by him, I mean Jay-Z, King of Wands. It burns him that Nicki has the platform she has and that he can't control it. So Page of Swords, he's like studying her. He's a very, and this is what I found about some Sagittarius, you know. I have experienced this before where they will act like they're all cool with you. You're like, okay, are we cool? They're like, yeah, we're cool. But then you find out that you're not cool with them, you know? So in my last video I did about them, where somebody wrote on the live, I did a live actually, and somebody wrote on the live that MIA came out and she said that she signed to Rock Nation. And I actually remember that time I met MIA. She was so sweet. She was very, very sweet. I really liked her. She used to, I think her ex lived around the area, used to work in the Lower East Side. And I think her ex used to live in the Lower East Side from what I remember. I actually knew a producer that used to work with her, which is very funny. Not someone that, never mind. I would be telling a personal story that I shouldn't get into. Just because I don't want this person in my life at all. And I don't want them to get ideas if they watch this. But basically, I had seen her around New York and stuff like that. She was very sweet. And I do remember this time because it was around 2008, 2009. Yeah, when all of this was happening, when Jay-Z wanted to sign a lot of artists that were popular at that time, the word was getting out that he wasn't the most reliable person. And I remember being in New York because I used to do music. And I used to know lots of producers, and we would hang out together. And I remember I can't remember who it was. But somebody, I was hanging with like a manager of a club, and he had all these like producer friends, and we're just talking about people, not like gossiping, but just, you know how it is in the music industry where you get together, you're like, okay, I want to work with this person, I want to work with that person. But I remember one person said that he had heard that Jay-Z was trying to sign everybody. Was trying to sign Lil Wayne, was trying to sign a lot of these Cash Money people, because it was a time that Lil Wayne was like very, very hot. Very, by hot I mean he was he was hot. He was the best artist at that time. Him, Nicki Minaj, and Drake was upcoming, you know? And we're talking about how Birdman would never let that happen. And basically I heard that he said one of his cousins signed. I can't remember if it was a cousin. This was really late night and we were drinking. But I can't remember if it was his cousin. Somebody, a woman he knew had signed to Roc Nation. I don't know if the story is true, but I remember the story. He told me the story. And he said it would be the biggest mistake for any artist to sign with Jay-Z. And I said, why? You know, obviously I would never do it. And I ended up leaving the music industry. And I said, why? And he was like, yeah, you know, because Jay-Z's evil. He's wicked. So it was a known thing in New York. From the moment I lived in New York, I would hear stories about Jay-Z. I dated this producer, not for a long time, but for the brief time that I did date him, he would tell me stories about Jay-Z. He actually was in litigation with Jay-Z. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to ruin his legalities of it. It was a long time ago, so it is what it is. And I even saw his name on some songs that Jay-Z had been basically like stealing his music. He would say he would give him credit and then not do it, you know? So, and I actually had heard about him stealing from people, like stealing music, him and Beyonce, personally, people that I know, stealing music from them, stealing copyright, like taking ideas, intellectual copyright they call it, intellectual property, and mimicking it. You could tell that it's a copy, but mimicking it so much that they wouldn't have to pay them, but you could tell that it's a rip-off of the original thing, you know, stuff like that. So I've heard for years, even the Barclays Center. I used to live in Brooklyn I'm from Brooklyn, that's where I was born, and I remember the Barclays Center was built in 2010, and when it was built, it was like this huge thing, and people blamed Jay-Z. People from New York don't like Jay-Z, most people, you know, they know exactly what he is, they're very familiar. I would say Nicki Minaj is way more favored than Jay-Z in New York because they know that he can be very shady. And when Barclays Center was built, I used to go running by then. I actually used to go to a restaurant that was on DeKalb a lot, and it's like by the Burlington Coke Factory, if you know where that is, if you're from New York, if you live in New York. But yeah, so it's right by Fulton, right by there. I used to get my hair extensions from Fulton Street, right there. So that area before it was Barclays Center was just like mom and pop shops, delis, you know, it was very quiet. And I love the Barclays Center, but it was done in a very shady way. They brought people from the outside in and kind of had contractors from different countries, and they brought outside money in when they could have hired people from New York. And that was like a big thing at that time, and a lot of people, they actually protested it, and people were very upset with Jay-Z because they said that he has a way of looking out only for himself. So that's been like a common thread. And people that I know that have worked with him and I also know, I know many, I can count at least 5 people I know that have had some kind of dealing with Jay-Z personally that have not had a good experience. I can't say the same for Nicki Minaj, but energetically I pick up that similarly, she can have a selfish energy to her. So I'm not on anybody's side. I never really am. But I feel like she does have some kind of loyalty. I do not believe Jay-Z has loyalty. I don't think it's in him. Something that I think what promotes him, in my opinion, is money. And the need to be number one, you know? And with Page of Swords, I see him studying her, especially with her last tour that did so well. He's like, how is she still number one? And I think he even he's done stuff to her behind the scenes. And I did say this in my live a long time ago. When somebody wrote that about MIA, that I said that he's done things behind the scenes to a lot of people. And I said this is why I don't get along as a whole with Sagittarius. Because from my experience, a lot of things that have been done behind my back have been Sagittarius and Libras, but that's another story. I'm not saying all are like that, but I'm just saying that's why I'm very wary of a lot of Sagittarius, because sometimes they'll stab you in the back, literally, not physically, but just do something nasty, and I'd be like, everything's fine, everything's okay. I'm like, no, just tell me. If you don't like me, just tell me. You know? But yeah, that's just. So he's done things to her behind the scenes. Let's see what he's done. And she's sick of it. She's very, very sick of it. But she doesn't have that trait, I must say. She doesn't have that backstabbing trait. So I wonder what her Mercury is in. It must be like in Mercury. I think I've said it's Capricorn before. She has a Mercury that's very direct. I have my Mercury in Capricorn, so that's why I think it's Mercury in Capricorn, because I'm very like to the point. I can see that about her too. She doesn't play games, but it's also a New Yorker thing. New Yorkers don't play games. So let's see, what did he do to her? Behind her back. I did say that I picked up a long time ago, and I'm picking this up again now, that around 2007, she said something to Kanye about Jay-Z, and he found out, and it enraged him. This is intuitively what I'm picking up. I pick it up again because I don't really remember stories, and I tell you guys this all the time. I love reality TV. That's what I live for, literally. So that's what I remember. I can tell you, everybody, like the other day at work, we were talking about Love is Blind, and my colleague was like, oh yeah, I know somebody who was on Love is Blind, and he got them confused, but I knew exactly who he was talking about just by describing them. That's how much I know. Reality TV is kind of sad, but I'm not really into celebrity stories like that. I'll remember bits and pieces, but when it comes to stuff like this, I don't really remember it. So this energy has come up again, where she said things about him that he didn't like. So maybe she did do it to him too, you know? She was like, he's greedy, Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so what did he do? Knight of Pentacles, the Magician, Page of Pentacles. So, he wanted to make her like a superstar. He went to her and he was like, I'm going to make you a superstar. And she was like, no. Bottom of the deck, Four of Cups. She was like, no, I don't trust you. She told a lot of people too, she told a lot of people too that she didn't trust him, that she couldn't trust him because she saw what he did to people. I think she might have seen what he did to Lil Wayne. He did something to, I just get that energy, I don't know for sure, but I just get an energy that he did something backstabbing to Lil Wayne. But she can't contain her mouth, and I think because of that, he's always wanted to kind of conquer her, and she won't have it. So let's see what the outcome of this is going to be. The never-ending drama of the two Sagittarius. What's the outcome between Jay-Z and Nicki Minaj? It's very fascinating. Whenever I see Sagittarius fight, I'm like, you're the same, just fighting with each other, like very petty. I can be petty, but not when it comes to, in fact, I'm not really that petty anymore. When I was younger, I used to be petty, but I just don't have the energy all the time. I'll defend myself, but I'm not going to start things with people because it's a waste of energy. So let's see what the outcome, what's the outcome going to be of these two. Okay, so I see it having to do with the Super Bowl. She wants to get back at him. Eight of Swords, Ace of Wands, Seven of Cups. So she wants to get back at him, but she doesn't know how. She doesn't want to revert. You know, I don't like her husband, I will say that, but I feel like her husband has brought out a softer side in her. And being a mother, and because of that, she's like, you know what, is it worth my happiness? Eight of Cups, is it worth my happiness to be taken down? She thinks he's the devil, and I've heard many people describe him as that. I've heard many people describe Jay-Z as the devil, and I mean, so let's see. She's going to be like, it's not worth my peace, it's not worth this. what is he going to do? He's going to act like, and you know, his reckoning is coming. I keep telling people, his reckoning is coming. It's coming. I keep getting April, so maybe, I did say I thought it was around last Super Bowl. It's going to be around a Super Bowl, because people can see through his fakeness. He acts all like noble and, you know, higher than thou. But it's coming to an end. People can see through his fakeness. So the Hierophant, the Tower, and Three of Pentacles. I see here that he's going to act like he's spiritually awakened. He's kind of like a Russell Simmons type. But it's not going to... People are going to see through it. But she's gonna decide it's not worth my energy, not worth my time, and let it go. But he's still going to try to win her over in some kind of way. Like artists that work with her, he's gonna try to get them some kind of, in the way to get her royalties. It's kind of sick what he does. It's very, very sick. He has difficulty, and I think that we see this too with Diddy. We see it with Russell Simmons. We see it with these high-powered, you know, executive types. They have difficulty when people tell them no, you know. So that's what I have for you guys. I do have some great memberships, so check that out. I love you all. Please subscribe, like the video. Take care.